Here we are again, back with another one, man. Some more conspiracy theories, unexplained mysteries, and just overall craziness of the world. All right, but before we get to that, I need y'all to help me unplug some more people out of the matrix. And you do that just simply by hitting the like button, then putting hashtag unplug in the comment section. All right, and if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join the family. Let's get to it.
Pascagoula, two local men confronted authorities with a rather bizarre story. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker told of a strange craft landing near their fishing site and of being taken aboard by three unearthly creatures. The two men were questioned under hypnosis and lie detectors, but their story remained intact. One of the men suffered a nervous breakdown and is still under treatment. Among the skeptics were Ralph and Judy Blum, already at work on a UFO book. With W5 last week, Ralph and Judy returned to Pascagoula.
Judy and I stumbled into this book. It came to us to be written. Suddenly we were...
So this is the interview from back then. Like, we checked out the story, but it was like an updated story. This is probably back when it happened.
A wave of waves. UFOs were being seen across the country again. We were in what they call a flap. And people began experiencing things that they couldn't explain. Something was happening in our skies in the midst of Watergate, Agnew, the energy crisis, the Middle East. Something was happening and people couldn't understand what it was. We spoke about UFOs, but nobody really knew. And then it hit right here where we are. It hit Pascagoula. Charlie Hickson entered the news and we had a book to write.
We were sitting on the other side of the pier with our feet, you know, over toward the river, fishing in the river. And the fish still wasn't biting, so I told Calvin, I said, well, you know, we might as well go home. But I guess that was when I heard it. It was some kind of zipping sound. And when I turned around, in this area out here, about 40 or 50 feet out there, there was some kind of crab, you know, looked like it's going to come right onto the ground. But it came on down and hovered about a foot and a half or 2 feet off of the ground. But we didn't know what to do, you know. The river behind us and that out there not knowing what it was. So, and then before we had time to really do anything, it seemed like an open appeared. And toward the end, it was, you know, toward us. And the blue light, it had blue flashing lights as it was, you know, approaching the ground, but then they went out. And when the opening appeared, some source of light came from the inside. It was just almost blinding.
Sheriff Diamond, can you tell me just what happened that night?
No, sir, I can't. All I can tell you is there was two men came into the sheriff's department approximately 8:30 and 9 o'clock. They were all excited and upset, wanting to climb the walls, hysterical, crying. That's actually all I know is what happened.
Did he stay crying as well? Now, I remember from the other interview, like, they were like initially laughing and like poking fun, trying to figure it, because they thought it was just some type of hoax. But they left that part. I didn't know they showed up crying and stuff like that too, man. These dudes, and you could tell during the interview looking at him, because I was trying to really look at him to see if you could tell like if a person is lying to you, if you study people a lot. Like, I try to pay attention to people, and I just didn't get that from him. I felt like what he was saying was truthful.
As far as me seeing what happened, I don't know.
Of course, we could see them in the opening coming from, you know, when they started out to crab. But
Did you think it was people coming out at first?
Well, they had. I kind of thought it was people at first, you know, off like that. But of course, when they appeared there in front of me, it was the most shock I've ever had in my life.
What did you see?
Well, they were shorter than me. I'd say about 5'2" or 3", and they didn't have a neck. The head, it seemed to come directly to their shoulders, and they had something that came out to a point about where a nose would be, and on each side the ears. And I believe that they looked like they were a little longer on the ears than the nose.
But still pointed the ears.
They were still pointing, yes.
But since I was down there, and since I was a physician and several other scientists and investigators were asked to consult and look into the situation, I was asked if would I mind if I would be present, and I said I wouldn't mind at all. And while it is still very difficult for us to believe that a that a spaceship landed, and that robot-type creatures came out and actually took these two people into the spaceship. These men, in my opinion, believe that they saw this, and that they were being honest in reporting what they have reported.
But it seemed to me when they came out that doorway, or that opening, or whatever it was, then just almost instantly they were right there on us. And their arms, they had arms, and I saw the arm moving here and in the shoulders, but they had weld. I mean, their fingers were weld, and then they had something like a thumb, and they were like this.
Mm-hmm. We questioned them at length, and then we left the room and recorded all the conversation they had, recorded between the two of them. And one of them kept wanting to pray. And he said, after all I went through on this earth, I said, why should I have to see something like this?
Calvin Parker.
See, that's when they knew that these dudes were telling or potentially telling the truth, that it was some truth to what they were saying, or at least they, from their perspective, were telling the truth. So, like, what do you do at that point? What do you do? You go out there, you investigate it. Do you want to be out there? I don't know, man. At that particular time, I would not want to be a cop.
I was questioning him, and at one time he wanted to climb the wall. That's how nervous and how shook up he was.
They had me one on this arm like this, and on the other one, you know, they had my other arm like that. And I just seemed to lift up to the same height they were off the ground, and we just moved into the craft.
Now inside, how did they lay you out? Do you remember how it happened?
Yes. I didn't see any tables or chairs or anything in there. I'm not saying it wasn't in there because the light was almost blinding, but I didn't see any. And when they carried me inside, they seemed to just lean me back, you know. And this eye, I keep referring to it as an eye, and it moved up in front of me about this close. And it started right at my eyes, looking me right in the eye. And it seemed that it hesitated there for a few seconds, and it just started moving over my entire body. When they brought me from the craft along this area here, and they didn't drop me, you know, they just released me back to the ground. And I fell. I don't know why my legs were weak. I don't know why it was the fright or what it was, but I fell onto the ground. And that's when I seen Calvin. He's standing right over here in this area, and he was standing facing the river with his arms outstretched like that, just like he was staring at something.
And tell me about the lie detector test.
Well, so that was run by Pilkington. Was it Pilkington?
Pennington. That they run this type of test about 6 times a day. And when they were asked to come over here to talk to these people, they had in their mind that it was just a big joke. And if I understand it correctly, they ran one test on Mr. Hickson. The machine showed that he was telling the truth. Then they run another one. And then the examiner, he began to wonder himself. So he ran the third test, and he believed just what Mr. Hickson had told him.
Mr. Booth, tell me what happened that night in October.
Well, I got up and turned off the TV and come to the front door, which you can see right behind me. Just as usual, checking to see if it was locked. So I looked out the window at the top, and naturally I saw this object above the street light out there. So naturally it caught my eye with the lights was on. I couldn't hear any racket or anything. So I opened the door after a few seconds to step out to see if I could really tell what it was. It just took off.
Can you describe it?
Well, it was round, had lights all the way around it, turning in a counter-clockwise motion. It had a dome on top with a bright light shining out through the top of it. To tell the actual figure of it or anything, you couldn't tell. You could just see the lights and the one on top.
When it happened to...
And this is why they shouldn't keep this type of stuff from us. If they know something, they should tell us. We have a right to know what we're dealing with. Like, you could be just sitting in your house, randomly walk out on your porch, just to stretch your legs or sit down out there and just enjoy it. And all of a sudden you're met with some type of spaceship or whatever it could be with bright lights around it, and it could be right at your face pulling you in. And they knew about it all along and never said anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why we need to know what's going on, and we're asking questions.
Charlie, the creatures, whatever they were, didn't communicate with him. Now, it's enough to say you saw a UFO to give you trouble these days in some towns.
Right.
To be taken aboard is just a suspect idea. But somehow, if the creatures don't give you a message, you're just a touch less incredible. And Charlie says what he said and what we wrote about in the book. It was like they had a job to do, and they came and they did it.
I think there has to be a reason why that Calvin and me was picked.
Maybe because you could take it.
Well, it might be. I don't know. I think that they know more of what's going on down here on this earth than we think. And I don't know, they might have been, you might say, looking for somebody that could, you might say, hold up under the strain.
Looking for somebody, analyzing us, studying us. Oh, well, maybe grab one of them. I need a closer look. Ran up on those two and grabbed those two, brought them in, analyzed them, and then sent them back.
And convince people that there is another world and there's some kind of life on that world.
Dan and Pete are ghost hunters who've recently caught something really creepy on camera. As they were conducting an investigation at a cemetery, one of their static cameras captures this.
Daylight or not. Not walking around no cemetery, bro, if I don't have to. Yep, saw it. I saw it.
Both Dan and Pete didn't see this until viewers did. What are your thoughts on this?
They shouldn't be in a cemetery at night.
YouTube channel Fourth Wall received a creepy video from a ghost hunter who was visiting Mount Benton in Fukushima, Japan. According to Fourth Wall, there used to be abandoned buildings in this place, and there was a rumor that you can take photos of ghosts in those buildings. The place is now a well-maintained tourist destination. However, there are still rumors that a female ghost will appear at night. This video was shot by a person who came here to record ghosts. Although he saw nothing in particular during the shooting, he saw this after watching the footage.
Yeah, that place is... What is that? Like a huge face. Look like an old face.
Could this be the female ghost that supposedly haunts this place? Or is it something else? A few seconds into the video, and more things begin to appear.
See, that's why I say research, research, research. Before you go to somewhere, I don't care if it's in the woods, forest, I don't care if it's to a vacation spot out the country. Research these places you going to, man. This place right here could have had a ton of deaths in it, murders or something, or people was dumping bodies. You just don't know. No, that's snow. Whoa. I didn't see it at first. I thought he was just showing footprints, but now I see that somebody's walking, but no one's there.
How chilling. Hopefully he wasn't barefooted. Forget Mount Benton. Mount Spook would be a better name.
The heck?
Ruben Krugel has a YouTube channel named Mr. Red, and on this channel he has nothing but videos that are either about weapons or video games. Now, this is odd because the video I'm about to show comes from this exact same channel and is nothing like his other videos, which makes it even more believable, if not more creepy. The video starts off with a montage of him and his friends vacationing in France. All appears to be normal until towards the end of the video, where things get really creepy. It isn't until Ruben and his friends visit an old bunker hidden in the French Alps that an ominous feeling begins to set in. Right before entering the bunker, which happens to be really deep, the group splits off, which, as we all know, is the best thing to do in a situation like this. So the whole gang splits and leaves 2 people behind. Those 2 people, later on, go inside and encounter something really creepy. This is what they caught on camera.
Jezus, het is gewoon sneeuw. Hoe dan?
Oh, that's snow?
Oh, dit voelt als een heel slecht idee eigenlijk.
Dat dacht ik ook, maar...
I too was once young and dumb and did dumb stuff like this. I did it. Bro, you saw that? Nope. I want nothing to do with none of that. What you mean they didn't? Oh, they didn't notice that?
Thinking that the other group was trying to scare them,
They left like they turned around like they noticed that. I know y'all noticed it. I noticed it.
they pretend to walk away, hoping that doing so would make them come out. But no one did, except for this guy. There's no doubting that Ruben and his friends were left speechless after seeing this. There's a place in Madison, Ohio that is notorious for being haunted. When Trinity Campos heard about the Madison Seminary, she immediately booked a reservation and stayed the night there with some friends. It was just them, so they had the whole place to themselves. How fun, you might say. Well, not so much, because what happens later on left everyone totally spooked. While conducting an EVP session on her own, Trinity encounters something really creepy.
Yeah, that would be smart.
The closeness
I don't want to be caught sitting down. I want to be on my feet planted, ready to run if I need to.
of the footsteps was enough to make her leave. But as if this ghost couldn't get close enough, this happens.
Oh my god.
What, you okay?
Oh.
Okay?
You're never gonna believe this.
What?
Now that's hair-raising. But in all seriousness, this must have been really terrifying. Props to Trinity and her friends for staying the night and getting this on camera.
Y'all crazy. Y'all crazy.
It's 12 past midnight, and Jeff Stedix is outside an abandoned
Like, I was young and dumb. I just don't think I was just that dumb, though.
mansion that is supposedly haunted. Jeff has been here before and encountered something pretty creepy. But little does he know that on his second visit, something way more terrifying would occur. Jeff is inside the mansion when this happens.
What the hell? Oh shit! Hello? I swear, I guess someone is here right now pranking me or go over. No, I don't know.
See, it's always these old, rich mansions. Like, old, rich people that had these mansions must have been some sick individuals back in the day. Because there's always some type of ghost surrounding these old, rich mansions, man. Seriously, I don't know. Like, explain what it is.
Someone is here? What the hell? Hello? Hello? Jesus Christ. Hello? Okay, I almost shit my pants right now, legit. Hello?
Still plenty of time to do that.
What the hell?
See?
Yo. What the hell's going on here, man?
Jeff can't help but think that there's a squatter in the house.
I thought about
However,
that too.
as Jeff continues to explore, it seems less likely that a squatter is inhabiting the place and more likely that it's something else.
Yo. Hello?
Way too dark for me. Nope.
The hell? My flashlight is dying right now. Whew. The hell? But I don't know. There's no one. Probably an addict, but screw it, man. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, man. Here.
Yeah, I saw that. And if he ain't see it, he don't need to be doing this for a living. So his senses is terrible.
I'm out of here, man.
Jeff doesn't realize that a shadow-like figure had passed by. He continues to walk around and later decides to head downstairs. But as he heads out, this happens.
Oh! I'm out of here, man. I can't see and stones.
Glad you remembered the way out.
Maybe next time, Jeff will have second thoughts about visiting this place.
Yeah, he could have easily got disoriented in there.
Andoniz Villajos has been ghost hunting for a while. Out of all the places he's gone to, one stands out as being the most haunted. In a secluded area within a village, there's a small home that belonged to a doctor who recently passed away from a heart attack. What gave him a heart attack is unknown, but Andoniz seems to think that his cause of death had to do something with this house. Whatever it was, it had to be something frightening. He must have been literally scared to death, as what happens to Andoniz when he spends a night there scares the living hell out of him.
Yo, I give it to him. He's quick. He was about to get out of there.
An object on the table moves on its own. But things were only getting started because what happens next is beyond belief. There's no place like home, if you can even call it that. Hell would be a better name, and living in it would drive anyone insane. But when the paranormal pulls up, sometimes you gotta show it who's boss.
How much money would it take for one of y'all to do this? Just stay in some haunted, abandoned place for a night. How much money? Put it in the comment section.
American soldier detained in North Korea. We're learning more about what happened right before he ran across the border. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Redditz is live in Seoul, South Korea with the latest. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. The big question, why in the world would an American soldier flee to North Korea? We do know he had been in trouble with the law here in South Korea and with the Army, but he is in a whole lot more trouble now. This morning, a 23-year-old U.S. soldier in the hands of the North Koreans after officials say he intentionally and inexplicably bolted across the border at the DMZ, the heavily fortified demilitarized zone that separates North and South Korea.
We're closely monitoring and investigating the situation. I'm absolutely foremost concerned about the welfare of our troops.
The soldier, Army Private Travis King, was supposed to be on a flight back to Fort Bliss in Texas, where he was facing discharge from the Army after serving 47 days in a South Korean jail following an altercation with local citizens. Officials say that a military escort dropped King off at the airport in Seoul, but instead of boarding his flight, he left the airport and headed to the DMZ, where he joined a tour group before reportedly laughing and then dashing across the dividing line into the north.
I noticed a guy dressed in black, running looked like full gas towards the North Korean side. Everybody was stunned and shocked.
Reached by phone, Travis's mother telling ABC News she last heard from Travis a few days ago, adding, "I can't see Travis doing anything like that."
No one has any idea, I think, really why he chose what he chose to do.
This incident coming as a massive U.S. nuclear ballistic missile submarine arrived in South Korea for the first time in more than 40 years, a show of force met by the launch of 2 North Korean short-range ballistic missiles a short time later.
I'm concerned about the potential geopolitical implications as North Korea now has a U.S. soldier, and we're going to have to figure out how to negotiate to get him back.
And while it is unclear exactly where Travis King is now being held, detention in North Korea has a frightening history. In 2016, Otto Warmbier, an American student, was imprisoned in North Korea, accused of trying to steal a propaganda poster from a restricted area. He was flown back to the U.S. after 17 months of detention in a coma and died a week later. As for Travis King, while his whereabouts are not certain, a U.S. official telling me this morning that once he crossed into North Korea, he was taken away in a van and they believe taken to North Korea's capital city, Pyongyang. George?
Such a strange story. Okay, Martha, thanks very much.